Okay, I am going to try for the third time today to do this live video and just do our weekly update here, September 10th, 2024. So hello to Delphus Trinity and to all of our surrounding community and people who we get to reach through these weekly video updates. I do hope and pray you're doing well. It's a beautiful day here, headed to the upper 80s though. It's getting warm. It's not like that winter weather that was in here a couple nights ago. This past weekend, my son took me to my first ever Ohio State game in Columbus. I've seen him in other places, but he took me to that game. And by the time we were leaving the stadium, it was 49 degrees outside. And as we drove home at 2 in the morning, getting home, it was a little bit cold. But it's a beautiful day out there. It's going to be a great big weekend here in Delphus with Canal Days coming. And that celebration's just a couple days away. I am looking forward to being part of that for the first time ever and enjoying this just a celebration of life. We need to, in America, understand the incredible freedoms we have and the blessings that we have and the ability to really embrace our faith without some of the repercussions that you find in the rest of the world. And we have incredible freedom. At the same time, we're reminded tomorrow is September 11th. And we're reminded of some of the costs sometimes of our freedom because what we have offends the rest of the world. And the same is true in Christianity. What we have as believers sometimes offends the rest of the world. Now, I'm often amused when I see people who are 16, 17, 18 years old who are posting things on social media about 9/11 and how they'll never forget. And I'm going, you weren't even alive then. How can you even remember? But I have the same feelings towards things like Kennedy's assassination or Pearl Harbor, which had a direct impact on my life, even though it was 20 some years before I was born. But because of Pearl Harbor and those events, things transpired that led to me being part of this world and being here with you today. We have this great freedom, and we also have this need to remember what brings us to this freedom. This weekend in church, we're going to be talking in Acts chapter 7 about the story of Timothy. The story of Stephen. And the story of Stephen is one about this guy who was elected to serve others. And out of that, he lived out his faith because, as we talked about last weekend, practical service is spiritual service. Practical faith is spiritual faith. And he's living it out, and people were offended. And ultimately, it cost Stephen his life. Now, most of us don't live in a time and an age where our faith is going to cost us our life, at least not here in America, but in other parts of the world, it can. And we have to be a people who remember and appreciate what others suffer and go through. We must remember history. Just like we as Americans need to remember 9/11, we as Christians need to remember people like Peter and John and the disciples and Stephen, who we're going to talk about this week. Because out of that, God took that situation to expand the church and to spread the church into all the world. And so we must remember those things. There's so much going on in the weeks ahead and so much that we're excited about coming up here at the church. We're going to acknowledge our veterans and their service coming up before too long. We are going to have trunk or treat in this community. Before long, Thanksgiving and Christmas are going to be here. And I'm already planning ahead to next year's Advent services. That's how far out I like to think. But in all of this planning and preparation, I hope and pray that we do not lose sight of living life right where we are in this moment. We must take advantage of the opportunities we have to love each other, to interact with each other, not to be so busy that we can't even have a 30-second conversation with someone. We must spend time and appreciate the life and the world that has been given to us as we go along. I'm excited to be part of this church and of this community. I see great things happening here. Even this past Sunday, as we talked about nurture and the need to reach out to members of our own body who may not be able to connect in other ways. We had a great response to that, and multiple volunteers came forward. And Jean and I, and we're going to be in touch to make sure that we're taking care of all those that are there, because we need to remember the blessings we have and those who have made it possible. We need to live in this moment And we need to be looking to the future, that all people may know that Jesus Christ loves them. And may we be instruments of God's faith in this world. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of the week.